That's right. It is the morning show right here on Facebook, Periscope TV, YouTube Live, LinkedIn, and however you're finding us. We appreciate each and every one of you. We got lots to talk about, including on today's show, world news, some really sad situations happening around the world, many of which are affecting people in every part of the land, quite literally. We have quite a few people in some of these areas as well, friends, family members, and or people that we've come close to. I know for me, for example, there was a couple places in the news I said, oh my goodness, I have long lost friends there, and it's not a good situation happening. We'll talk about that around the corner, particularly in Nigeria. There's a lot of situations happening in Nigeria. I recently saw yesterday a lot of posts saying, please pray for Nigeria. And I was like, what is going on in Nigeria? And we'll talk a little bit about that around the corner. First of all, I got Mr. Jesse Sanchez over there. Good morning, Jesse.
Good morning.
Lots of news stories, but still, no truth to the rumor. Chip 'n Dale's is still going to be made into a live action film. How do you feel about that, Jesse?
I am horrified. And you're still going to rub it into when the movie comes out, right?
I am. It's a thing because I know it affects you. So
yes, it does.
I feel it's my job and duty to do this. But I mean, look, I don't look. Okay, I'm going to look this up. Put some perspective in this. Maybe your understanding of a live action version of this, because we need more movies, Jesse. And Chip and Dale. Which is your favorite, Chip or Dale?
I'm gonna go with the goofy one, so to be Dale. No, I don't remember which one's which.
Yeah, Chip is the he's a little bit of an ego maniac. You know what I mean? Because he's all smart, and Dale's just like he's got his heart out there, right? So let's see. Here it is. Disney's live action Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers will debut on Disney Plus. Okay, that's number one. That's interesting. Production on the live-action CGI hybrid is set to begin filming next spring. The studio's prepping this film as part of the original films for Disney Plus. Another cool tidbit is that the original voice cast for the Rescue Rangers team, Chip and Gadget, Dale and Zipper, and Jim Cummings as Monterey Jack. That was his name, Monterey Jack. Remember that? The big guy. Are all expected to return for the film. Well, then you know what? I'm good for that. You know what I think they're doing? I think it's going to be like, remember Smurfs? And they did.
Okay.
I think they're going to do that. So it's not like Cats where they're going to have humans acting like Chip and Dale, which I think is what you're envisioning.
Yeah, for some reason that's what I'm envisioning. But if it's like the Smurfs, I might give it some. I might watch it a bit. I don't know. I just need to see what it looks like. Give me a trailer when it's ready.
Okay. All right. Let's see. It's 1/3 of Lonely Island, along with Andy Samberg, Jorma Tacoma, David Hoberman, and Todd Lieberman, who produced The Muppets, as well as Disney's live-action Beauty and the Beast, are producing. Plot details are being kept under wraps. It will not be an origin story. God, thank goodness. Nor detective agency story. The take is being described as being meta, something self-referential and cool. The film was written by How I Met Your Mother writing duo Dan Greger and Doug Mand, Barry Schwartz, and blah, blah, blah. So there you go. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. I'm just, poor Jesse. I know this has really affected him and so many levels.
It did.
All right, we're back. Sorry, I clicked on the button by accident. That was funny though. All right. When did the final episode air? And it was included with series such as, which I loved all of these. Remember these, Jesse? These were the good times in our lives.
Which ones?
DuckTales, Tailspin, Darkwing Duck, Goof Troop, Adventures of the Gummy Bears. Oh man, I was a big fan of Gummy Bears when I was.
Oh, all great cartoons. Yeah, right.
Not the ones that you eat. That kind of weirded it out for me. The ones right.
Really? I always used to imagine them jumping into my mouth, trying to run away. Like, Jesse, no, don't eat me. No.
But the gummy bears were not the same type of gummy bears that they sold. You know what I mean? Like, because you had the Papa Bear. And I love that song. Remember that song? I can't remember the way the song went. Are we the only ones that grew up on that? Or does anybody else remember that? Tell me we're not the only ones. I feel like people are like, who are these people?
10 seconds.
Already? Oh, wow. That was quick. I must have had a
Right?
long intro. Sorry. All right, here we go.
2 seconds.
That's right. It's the morning show right here on ABC News Radio, KMET 1490 AM. Joining our already live audience there on Facebook, Periscope, YouTube Live, LinkedIn, SoundCloud, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Don't forget to look for us on your Apple TV device and or your Alexa. Just say KMET 1490 AM. You know the name. I don't want to make all of your devices go, who's talking about me? So you can't say that word and it not go, hey, what do you want from me? And you're like KBT 1490 AM, and then all of a sudden it plays up on your device. How cool is that? Okay, people, we appreciate you. We love you. And somebody else we got in social media chat room is our very own Jesse Sanchez pulling double duty over there. Good morning, Jesse. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing good. Do you talk to Alexa all the time?
I used to. I don't have Alexa where I'm at now. My lady took the device, so I let her have it. Say, okay, fine, you have it. It's yours anyway. But there you go. So thanks for bringing up a sore subject with me, Jesse.
Yeah.
But, yeah, no, it's all right. It's all right. I'm over it. I am. I miss the little guy. I'm not gonna lie, but he's 8 now, and good kid, and he'll be forever. Hopefully he doesn't know. Hopefully, I feel like I need to put a message in a bottle. Little guy, I never walked away from you quite willingly, and I never, ever turn my back on you. I'm always there. You always have the ability to reach out to me eventually when you're 18. All right, so there you go. All right. Anyway, lots of news stories going on in the world, some of which are really heartbreaking. Seriously. And what I'm talking about is one of which I can't help but share. And this comes on the heels of somebody else that was on my Facebook feed and marked themselves as safe from a bombing. And I don't know which to share first, the bombing and or what happened, because they're both equally really bad. So I'm going to start with the bombing first, because I do have a Facebook friend which marked themselves safe because they're currently in this area. And this is the latest news. Let's see. Actually, it's still very fresh. I'm looking for it on the news. So I guess we're not going to go to that just yet. But somebody marked themselves as safe from this. It was very, 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 very sad. I'm trying to look at the latest news on this. So it's still evidently coming in. Maybe this is it. Yeah, no. I'll wait on that one. But here's the news that we do have, which is sad but true. Nigeria. And, sometimes people think, protesting only happens in our neck of the woods, but this is not what happened most recently in Nigeria. Eyewitnesses are saying Nigerian forces opened fire on protesters in Lagos. And if you've ever visited the area, I hear it's quite beautiful, by the way. But this is the latest information. Protests against police brutality turned bloody yesterday, despite a statewide curfew. Demonstrators have taken part in daily protests across the country for nearly 2 weeks over widespread claims of, get this, kidnapping, harassment, and extortion by a police unit known as the Special Anti-Robbery Squad. Tuesday saw the state governor impose a 24-hour curfew and deploy anti-riot police to the city. One witness at the protest, Akinbosola Ogunsanya, said the shooting began after the lights were turned off at the Nigerian city's Lekki toll gate. The eyewitness, Akinbosola, said members of the Nigerian army pulled up on us and they started firing. They were shooting. They were firing straight directly at us. And a lot of people got hit. I just survived barely. Ogunsanya added that barricades on either side of the scene were blocking ambulances. Another witness, Temple Onanugbo, said he heard what he believed were bullets being fired from his home nearby and that the sound lasted for about 15 to 30 minutes. Now, we're still getting information on this, and it's still coming in, but This is a sad state of affairs in Nigeria. And it made me think of a good Nigerian friend I haven't spoken to in quite some time. And he always very kind man. And I'm not gonna lie. When he first said he was from Nigeria, my first thought was, oh, those Nigerian scams, right? And I think some of us, right, from Nigeria, right? But just because you may have gotten hit up by a Nigerian person in your email doesn't mean they're all bad, right? Nigeria is supposed to be a very nice place to live in. And after meeting this man, he kind of changed my thought about, those type of Nigeria scams. And I just thought, what a level-headed gentleman, God-fearing Christian, loved to do what was right. Great speaker, by the way. Anytime I'd ever meet him in person, he's always like, how was your family? I don't want to emulate his accent, but it was a cool accent. It reminded me of Black Panther, right? But this is terrible, people. This is horrendous. Any government that opens fire on their protesting people is undoubtedly evil. That's the evil that's in this world. Do you understand? That's evil. I talk about evil in this world. I talk about how diabolical it is. And the people look at me and they say, yeah, you're right. And then on the flip side of that, you say people, well, what else were they going to do? That right there, you're siding with the evil one. You understand? In no way, shape, or form does this type of behavior make sense. And I say to the Nigerian government over there, who are you to create a situation to go from bad to worse? You're almost amplifying what it is that they're protesting to begin with. So I don't even need to know both sides of the story. I already understand their right to protest is not only right, it's just in this case. Now, do I think that this is going to take it and tip the scales there? Quite realistically so, yes. I think the people of Nigeria are going to are going to retaliate on this, because you have what were peaceful protests. These people were not doing what they do here, admittedly so. Granted, there was a 24-hour curfew that was being imposed, and that gets bad. That's enough. So you got two people on both sides trying to come to an understanding, I would hope, but is that happening right now? I doubt it. How do you go from protest to shooting people that protest? Now, I did look at the information. I thought maybe it was rubber bullets that they were talking about, right? No. And this information is still coming in as we speak. It says here, the protests at the Lekki toll gate have been mostly peaceful, with demonstrators singing the national anthem, staging sit-ins, and praying. Sanwo-Olu tweeted this. He said, "Dear Lagosians, I have watched with shock how what began as a peaceful End SARS protest has and this isn't the same SARS. This is the special police rescue team, if you will, has degenerated into a monster that is threatening the well-being of our society." That was from Sanwo-Olu. And Sanwo-Olu imposed the 24-hour curfew, including the closure of all Lagos schools. Only essential service providers and first responders have permission to be on the streets of Lagos, which has an estimated population of more than 20 million people. This special force team was disbanded on October 11th, and a new police unit to replace it will be trained by the International Committee of the Red Cross. That's according to what Reuters has reported. Protesters are demanding further protections against the police, including independent oversight and psychological evaluation of officers. But you see what this is almost, doesn't this sound like right here in America? To me, this sounds worse, to be honest. But do you understand where I'm going with this? This isn't an isolated event here in the United States of America. It's happening around the world. And people are fed up. They're fed up with being mishandled, mistreated, and misaligned. And no truth to the rumor, these are people of the same ethnicity background, technically. Hate is hate is hate is hate. Mistreatment is mistreatment of a higher kind, not a good kind, an evil kind. You understand? Death and severe injuries amid the protests have been reported since the weekend. Amnesty International said on its Twitter account Tuesday that it has received credible but disturbing evidence of excessive use of force occasioning deaths of protesters. A 17-year-old died in police custody on Monday in Kano, a city in the north of the country, after allegedly being tortured, according to the human rights group. Many protesters and journalists were assaulted by police and thugs in the capital Abuja on the same day. Videos on social media show dozens of cars belonging to protesters burning, and Amnesty International said 3 people died. So this is just going from bad to worse. People, I don't know what's going on in the world entirely, but I do know this. We need to not throw caution to the wind, okay? And some of these, I guess, look, the people of Nigeria, my heart is with you. It really is. You probably already know the situation happening here in the United States of America, and I'm pretty sure you're thinking, what does that matter when you got your own situation going on? And it sounds bad. So I've got nothing other than to say, let's just take out the evil one. Seriously, let's just take them out. This is just right. Just seriously, at whatever force is behind this, I'm done with it. I really am. All right, people, we got to take a break here on the morning show. We'll be right back with more right after these messages. All right, we're on our commercial break, and now I'm finding the information here. It's still coming in. Pakistan, at least 5 killed, 20 injured in building explosion in Karachi. Let me bring this up for you guys to see here. I'm just pulling in the and I was only notified of this because one of my Facebook friends, which I've never met, I get connected to a lot of people I've never met on social media. And when I woke up to it says Mark safe, I was like, wait, Mark safe from what? And then I saw bombing, and I was like, oh, that's not good. That's not good. Here's the situation as it stands currently. And evidently this happened earlier today. There it's day, or was the day when it happened. Nighttime for us, right? 5 people were killed, 20 others injured due to a powerful explosion in a 4-story building in Pakistan's Sindh province. 2 floors of the building were severely damaged, creating fears that casualties may rise.
30 seconds.
All right, thank you. And here on the home front, we got another lockdown. So it's just, you see, it's just, I guarantee we'll switch gears here in just a minute. But boy, oh boy. Maria says, I know people from my church are at a mission there. Where? Give me some more perspective on that.
2 seconds till we come back.
That's probably earlier, so she's part-time. That's right. It's the morning show right here on ABC News Radio, KMET, 1490 AM. Joining our live stream audience there, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Periscope TV, Apple TV, LinkedIn, and more. However you're joining us, we appreciate you. Social media comments like this one. Maria says, I know people from my church are at a mission there. It's sad and very real. I pray for them all. She's talking about Nigeria. And so in one part of the world, we got that situation going on. In another part of the world, this is the latest. Back to, if you're just joining us, I woke up. You know, sometimes I look at my Facebook, as many of you probably do. I don't know you, Jesse. I know you're on Twitter now. Which do you go to first? Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or none of them?
I usually go to Facebook first to share memories, and then I start looking at the horrible stuff on my feed.
Yeah, right. Well, and I hate to say this, but he's not entirely wrong. I personally try to, I look at notifications and messages, and I can't keep up with them all. But on Facebook, I saw the notification of Mark Safe from bombing. I says, "Oh my God, who was Mark Safe?" And I don't know this person, but evidently they follow the show quite regularly. And so I looked up the news, and the immediate thing that I saw at the moment was on my mobile device. But I had trouble finding it a moment ago, but I found information here. And so this is the latest. According to the New Indian Express, at least 5 killed, 20 injured in the explosion in Pakistan's Karachi. This is the scene there that we've pulled up just a bit there. This happened earlier today there during the what is, of course, our sleep pattern, not theirs. A 4-story building in Pakistan's Sindh province, a powerful explosion. 2 floors of the building near Maskan Charangi in the Gulshan area in Karachi were severely damaged, creating fears that casualties may rise. The death toll in the incident has increased to 5. 7 of the injured are said to be in critical condition. The security forces have cordoned off the area after the explosion. Police Chief Mushtaq Mahar said the bomb disposal squad and anti-terrorism officials are yet to determine the cause of the explosion. The police officials said that initial investigation suggested that the explosion could have been caused due to a gas leak. The official said that no trace of an improvised explosive device was found at the scene. The incident happened a day after 5 people were injured when an IED bomb exploded at the entrance of a bus terminal. So you understand? This isn't an isolated event. But they're waiting to see, well, what exactly is going on here. Media reports said the explosion was so powerful, it shattered the windows of nearby buildings and also damaged vehicles. They have sought a detailed report of the incident from the authorities. But I have a feeling this is not an isolated event. Again, when you have bombs going off in a particular area just prior to it, days ahead of it, you got to wonder, right? One would hope it was just a gas explosion. But even then, you got to be careful there, right, Jesse? I mean, you just have to be. Which, thank goodness to places like Facebook and Google, which allow you to at least say, hey, are you guys safe over there? And I always say, check up on your loved ones, check up on those that you haven't seen for quite some time, especially in other areas. The United States of America is not an isolated event. When you see violence and or harm and or things happening, we're on this world together. And I keep saying we have to figure this out. We have to figure out how we're going to keep maintaining peaceful relations with one another and with each other's countries. It's sad but true. All right, let's go to local news here because that's where we live here at San Bernardino Riverside, our main listening audience for ABC News Radio, KMET, 1490 AM. There is some news there, some of which I know, Jesse, you're not a big fan of, and I kind of understand that. Do you care to share?
Is this about everything closing again?
Yeah, again.
Yeah, I feel bad. I feel bad for these small restaurants and businesses that are trying to stay afloat, and some of them, they can't do delivery. So I just feel bad.
Yeah, I do too. The California Department of Public Health has moved Riverside County's classification back to the most restrictive purple tier under the state's color-coded coronavirus reopening system. The change means some businesses like restaurants, gyms, and movie theaters will be forced to shut down indoor services. Those changes will have to take place within the next 72 hours. That was as of yesterday. So as of, what is that, Friday? Yeah. Everything will be shut back down, at least inside. Okay, let me put some perspective on this. Nail salons were recently shifted to the state's purple tier and may continue current indoor operations. Supervisor Karen Spiegel says the change equals nailing the coffin shut on some operations, which, you know what? I agree with Karen on this. It's a sad state of affairs. We're going into the winter months. You're going to have a lot more rain. You're going to have a lot more cold weather. Get the heat lamps out, right?
Yep.
In fact, if you're a business, go invest in those right now. Just go get one. Get quite a few, right?
Before they sell out.
Before they sell out, right. The shift came after Riverside County, a week-long adjudication, I don't even know the word, adjudication process with the state to try to avoid the move to the more restrictive tier. Riverside County will have to stay in the purple tier for at least the next 3 weeks before it can have a chance at moving back to red, which, by the way, for those of you scoring at home, I don't know who set up this color-coded situation. I really don't. You guys protest about face masks. I protest about the color tier. It's so stupid. The most extreme one, Jesse, should be red, not purple. I feel like people are like, well, if it's purple, what's the big deal, right? Purple in this color-coded system is the worst one, all right? It should at least be a hot orange-red, okay?
Right? Red means danger.
Yeah, I don't understand how you go from red to purple. I would see like a purple being a cautionary to a red, but I think somebody was colorblind over there. I'm sorry. I don't agree with this color-coded system. It's stupid. But there you go. The county's COVID-19 case rate currently stands at 9.1 cases per 100,000 people, a figure that is high enough to push the county into the purple tier, but the positivity rate of 5.2% is within the red tier range. Officials say Riverside County's ability to meet the standards is also worsened by the county not conducting enough tests per person. That's not good. That's not good. The overall number climbed over the weekend, increased by 791 and 3 additional deaths. Now here's, and I know people are like, well, 3 deaths? What's the big hubbub about? Because I hear it all the time by people. Here's some statistics that I think we need to kind of pay attention to. Now, unfortunately, Riverside doesn't have the statistics I want, but San Bernardino does. Okay, San Bernardino is the next city over, which for those of you tuning in from other parts of the world, like Nepal, bear with me here. And Canada, Riverside County, of course, is like this, but San Bernardino County has actually been in the purple tier for quite some time, which kind of begs the question. I don't know about you, Jesse, but if you've been to San Bernardino, there's places that are open. Are they not, or are they not? I don't know. I haven't been there lately.
I haven't been there.
Actually, that's not true. That's not true. I have been to San Bernardino because I've been to Rancho Cucamonga, and those places, although you have to eat outside, are still open. Like, you can still go in.
Yeah.
So I feel like the information is kind of skewed here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But this is the latest, okay? San Bernardino County has confirmed cases of 60,621, but that's total. That's not like in one weekend. It was up 842 from Monday, October 19th, averaging 292 reported per day in the past week. Do you understand? So these are new cases being reported upon. Now, again, I know the numbers. You're thinking, well, that's not that bad. But here's what you need to look at. The hospital survey. This is the number you need to pay attention to. 187 confirmed and 44 suspected patients hospitalized Monday, including 40 confirmed and 7 suspected patients in the ICU, with 25 of 25 facilities reporting the number of confirmed patients is up 0.5% from a week earlier, which, by the way, it was down. That's how you get down in tier levels. You understand? So resolved cases, this is positive news. 57,474 total, up 302 from Monday, averaging 267 per day in the past week. So there you go. But as I've said here on the morning show, and I know it's not a popular thing to say, but I have said it, we're entering the cold and flu season. Therefore, these numbers are at the beginning of the scale. I do not expect this to get suddenly good overnight. If anything, I expect that it's going to get, admittedly so, not good. Okay, we'll just say it like that without spreading fear. So put on those face masks, stop complaining, and seriously, stop complaining. I know none of you watch Heat actually complain, but just don't hang around people that complain about it, that leave them off. I think I saw a barista be very patient with somebody at a Starbucks, with somebody that didn't want to wear a face mask. And another news, we talked about it yesterday, actually news about airlines. If you're not wearing a face mask, you might get kicked off entirely, not even able to fly. We'll talk about that next here on The Morning Show. Stay tuned. All right, if you're just joining us, this is our behind the scenes episode of our episode. So let's bring up that news there. I posted it somewhere. Where did I post it? Here it is. CDC recommends booting travelers. I wonder if you get a refund, Jesse. But
I hope so.
They should put it on the moment that you like. They probably are. The moment you book, you have to like comply, right, or sign something.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to comments here and social media. What do you guys think is going on in the world? Seriously, what are your thoughts? I know a lot of you are thinking people. I know because you often stay with me through to the end of the morning show after show program. Let's see. Maria says, I use Google Home more, but I have Alexa too. That's kind of cool. I haven't participated. We talked about Google Home here on the show when we used to have Google on. They wanted to come back on, but I'm just like, let's see. Let me scroll up. What did I miss? Switzerland, I guess, again in the house. Katya says, we have more and more corona cases. I work with a mask in the office all day. No. We apologize. We hate to hear that, Katya. But thank you for sharing your story over there. Cape Town, Keyed, Zambia. Tuning in. Thank you from Zambia. Appreciate you. Let me scroll down. Maria says Dale is her favorite. I don't know that anybody really cares for Chip. He's just a little bit know-it-all. I'm sorry, but I feel like he is. I'll
be truthful. Instead of Chip and Dale, my go-to guy was always Monterey Jack, especially when he goes cheese.
Oh, that's right. He would do that, huh? And he had like that burly voice.
Yeah.
Yeah. They just need to bring back all those series. Alejandro Patino says this. I stopped using TikTok. Yeah, right.
Were you doing TikTok dances? If so, I think you got to share them.
You know, I like what Maria's doing, by the way. She says, to be honest, I put people in the back of my friends and family list who won't wear a mask.
There you go. 10 seconds.
How do you do that? That's kind of cool. All right. Interesting. She's in Canada.
2 seconds.
All right, cool. Thanks. Welcome back. Yes, it is the morning show here on ABC News Radio, KMET 1490 AM. Joining our live stream audience there. However you're tuning in, we appreciate you. We're looking at social media comments. One of which comes from Maria Yankopoulos, all the way from Canada. Says we have level 1, 2, 3, and 4, but 1 is the worst lockdowns. So they have a different tier system, you understand? Which I like their tier system. It makes sense. Right, you don't want to go to like DEFCON 1, right? Or which is it, DEFCON 3 or 4? Which one is it, Jesse, where it's like the worst one of DEFCON? Like if you're in government, is it DEFCON 5 or DEFCON 1?
Good question. I always get that confused. I want to say DEFCON 1.
Yeah, see, okay, so if you're in government, you already know the answer. Yeah, DEFCON 1. That's total nuclear annihilation or all-out nuclear war. You never want to go to DEFCON 1. We're going to DEFCON 1, people. You never want that. All right, that's in the movies, right, Jesse? That's oftentimes what we, which love Morgan Freeman. Morgan Freeman and what's his name? Do those movies all the time where one's the president and the other's like the guy saving the president.
Gerard Butler.
Yeah, Gerard Butler. Thank you. Yeah, love that guy's accent. I wish I could have. I can't even do his accent. I need to work on that. I think it'd be pretty popular with the ladies. What do you think? Like, if you could pick one really good accent that you think would be popular with the ladies, what accent do you think it would be?
Ooh, I don't know. You know what? I want to go with like Australian or New Zealand, one of those.
Yeah, I'm not sure which one it is. You know what? We need to pull the ladies in the room. What is your favorite accent of all time that makes you go, you know what I mean? Like, because sometimes, no truth to the rumor, to men, it's the same thing, right?
Is it? I don't know.
You probably, okay, there's certain accents that I hear and I go, I melt. I do. I'm like, oh. I'll give you one. Kate Beckinsale.
Yeah, accents don't do anything for me. So
You're like, it doesn't work. For me, it does. I don't know what's wrong with me. Anyway, okay, let's switch gears up to something that I think all of us need to hear. Airlines. Yeah, CDC is weighing in on this. They endorsed Monday what has already become a required practice around the country, recommending that anyone traveling on airlines, trains, subways, buses, or other public transport wear a mask. Hello, people. If passengers do not comply, those who will not put on masks should be ordered to get off when possible, the CDC says in its interim guidance on the issue. Airlines or other transportation providers should, at the earliest opportunity, disembark any person who refuses to comply. So you're going to see a lot more of this, people. You might want to spread the information around. The CDC's stronger recommendation could be a boost to airlines, ride-hailing drivers, and others who have been seen resistance by some passengers to rules requiring they wear masks while traveling in close proximity to strangers to ward off the spread of the coronavirus. The only exceptions to not wearing a mask should be for those travelers who take them off while eating, drinking, or taking medication. Those who become incapacitated for any reason or cannot remove their masks by themselves or when needed to show their identity, such as when traveling through a Transportation Security Administration checkpoint, good old TSA. The CDC said in justifying its advice, wide use of masks especially helps protect those at higher risk of severe illness from COVID-19, as well as workers who frequently come into close contact with other people. Think of others, not just yourself. That's what we keep saying. The advice notes that it's not just the transportation itself that presents an opportunity for the virus. It's also any place where people gather while waiting to board, whether it's an airport, train, or bus station, or subway platform. It goes on to read, individual airlines gradually introduced mask requirements last spring when COVID-19 lockdowns became prevalent in the U.S. and have enforced them by placing non-compliant passengers on no-fly lists. Oh, I would not want to be on a no-fly list, Jesse. What about you?
Yeah, no, that's the last thing I would want to be on, a no-fly list.
Airlines for America, the leading airline trade group in the U.S., says masks are but one important layer in a series of steps to make sure the virus isn't transmitted on flights. I do. Okay, here's where I take issue, people. I do take issue with something that is being said and often touted. And I will err on the side of caution when I say this. That's not entirely true. All right? It's just not. The reality is, if it's airborne, it's in the air, period, end of story. Which I say, if you're traveling, I would rather take one of those like breathing face masks that keep me isolate. Like I'm only breathing in my own oxygen. You know what I mean? Because some of these face masks are not even compliant. They're not even N95s. They're not KN95s that I keep recommending go and get. But back to N95s and KN95s, right? Which again, Asian equivalent of the US equivalent of N95s, by the way, which you could go and buy right here, right now. I keep recommending it. But in the interim, there is no foolproof way not to get coronavirus if you're in the vicinity of somebody that has coronavirus. You understand what I'm saying? If they spit and or cough and it comes into the air, okay, take a cold or flu, right? That's in the air. Somebody's sitting next to you, right? You're like, you try not to look, you try not to pay attention, right? You just kind of, here's what I do. I make sure my sealant is pretty good on my face. There you go. That's how I roll. But there's no 100% unless you wrap yourself in a bubble. Which, by the way, Jesse, did you see the cool concert that wrapped each other in a bubble?
Yeah. My thing is, how is oxygen being fed into those things?
I don't know. Like when the flaming lips. But let me go back to my story. Then I'll go back to this. Okay. So my point is, I do understand when people say it is not an end all be all. I do understand that, people. I do. However, it is a good first step. It's like this. Okay. You go to the restroom. Do you wash your hands? Yes or no? Are you going to complain that we ask you to wash your hands before coming outside of the restroom? You know,
Yes.
I think a lot of people are. If there was a monitor, a hall monitor, which I've often said sometimes needs to happen in some of these places, because I don't know about you, Jesse, but do you ever see somebody? You're like, you hear them, well, without getting graphic, dump a load, and you're like, and then they come out. Thankfully they flush the toilet. Some don't even flush the toilet, right? You go, who didn't flush the toilet before me? It wasn't that hard. And then they come out, they look at themselves, they fix their eyebrows, they fix their hair, and they walk out. I'm like, that's disgusting, people. But that's not as disgusting if you have the cold and or the flu, or worse yet, you don't even know you were traveling around with coronavirus, okay? So take your own hand sanitizer, right? That's what people are doing, right, Jesse? People taking their own hand. You got like a bottle there of hand sanitizer just ready to go, which I know if I talk about it long enough, you're going to be like, I think I need to hand sanitize. I saw him hand sanitize during the break, by the way, but he started.
Often every time we talk, I just get like this urge, like, oh, God dang it.
It's a virus. It's true. But my point is this, sometimes you have to take precautions yourself. So if other people don't want to listen, wear your own face mask. It does reduce, it never eliminates the spread of possible contamination. Do you understand? Unless you're in a hazmat suit. So I agree. Unfortunately, so with those that say, yeah, but it's not an end all be all. I do agree with you. But which is better? For both people to not wear a face mask, or at least the one contaminating others to wear a face mask. That way, if they cough or sneeze, or look, there's been times, Jesse, I hate to say this, but I have a regular like allergy and I suddenly sneeze and all the spit gets stuck in my face mask. Have you done that yet?
No, I have not done that yet.
I have. It's disgusting because I'm like, oh, great. Now I've got my own spit in my. But I think about that and I'm like, but what if I were the one that had the coronavirus and I did that? Now I have to face the spit is stuck in my face mask. So I can't wait to get outside of like, I think I was in an electronics store and I did that. I'm like, oh man. And so I waited to get into the vehicle to remove it and like, you know, figure that out. I don't have coronavirus, by the way. It was just a regular cough and or sneeze. And sometimes it's choking on something, right? You drink something, you go, right? So my point is this, people. At the end of the day, face masks do not eliminate, but they greatly reduce. Do you understand? That's like, okay, a security system, right? Security system for your house. Do you know that the majority of security systems actually do not work as advertised? And what I mean by that is this. If they say they will be resistant against all burglar, or like Mission Impossible, people are like, sign me up for that. I've never met a security system I can't overtake, right, Jesse?
Oh yeah.
I used to sell security systems. I know this is a thing. Now it greatly reduces your chances of being broken into. Like if a burglar's going to attack a home, which house is he going to attack? The one with nothing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I say get a dog, a big dog too, because those nobody wants it going up against a dog. So get yourself a dog. Technically, is better, but it's a deterrent oftentimes, and it's sold as that. It's a deterrent. Now, in the worst case that there's an emergency, you have like a one call alarm, which goes directly to the fire, the police, the local authorities. They have two-way voice, which I'm not bashing security systems in the least. But if somebody breaks in, they already know your security system and or they cut the telephone wire, you're done. Which is why some have cellular backup, by the way, which is a great technology. But my point is this. It's not burglar proof. There's no such thing. But it greatly reduces your chances of getting broken into or them staying a very long time, admittedly so. Like what happened to one of Jesse's neighbors who he thought they were just moving. Right, Jesse?
Oh my God. Yeah. So I was in my room and I heard a lot of commotion coming from the next door neighbor. I honestly thought they were just moving stuff around. it was really loud. And then like later, a few hours later, the neighbor comes in like, "Oh my God, our house just got broken into." I'm just like, "Uh-oh." But that was because we just recently moved there and um we weren't like buddy buddy with all the neighbors yet. So we didn't know them all yet.
Right. Which I say, especially in times like this, know your neighbors.
Yep.
Go 5 houses down in either direction and introduce yourself, okay? Seriously, just introduce yourself, get to know each other. Neighborhood watch programs work, admittedly so. Sometimes the nosy neighbor is your best friend, okay? Because they know everything about everybody. They do. And I used to do this. I'd be like, okay, who's the nosiest neighbor in the vicinity? And I go there first. And I would let them know we have a special campaign for security systems. You might want to let your friends and or neighbors know. We're going to be back in the area in about a week. We're going to do this. It's a one-stop shop. Anybody, we're going to give them a free installation, free security panels, free devices. All you need to do is pay the monthly of, at the time it was, I think it's as much as $35.99. And just let your friends and family know we'll be back in about a week. See you soon. Within the week, Jesse, people were that same person will go, oh, she needs a security system. She just got broken into. He needs a security system. He's got problems with his like lady. That person over there, they're fine. He's never home, by the way. And you know what? That's the person who's the best person in your. They may be nosy, but you want them to be nosy in other people's business for safety. Okay, it may not be a fun neighbor. Sometimes they are. Sometimes they're kind of they have wisecracks, but always friend that neighbor because that neighbor knows everything about anyone and everything, and they usually have the most time in the house. So if they see something suspicious, they're the first one to say, "You know what? That's not Johnny," and they make the call. Let them. Just let them. Okay. Team up with your neighbors, especially during this time. I'm seeing situations, robbery systems, home robbery. I'm not here to scare anybody. I'm just saying people are kind of throwing caution in the wind, quite admittedly. So, people need money, and that creates for desperation. We're in desperate times right now. What do people do when they're desperate? If you're at the ATM, the bank, I always used to tell those that were closest to me, always be aware. Don't go at night by yourself. Go during the daytime and or carry a firearm if you're going to go at nighttime or anytime. Jesse. Anyway, okay, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back right after these messages with more right after this. Stay tuned. Let's bring back the audience here. Oops. I left on Maria's. Sorry, Maria. I forgot to turn you off there. Let's see. I need somebody to do the comments here. I know Jesse's wearing multiple hats. Maybe I should ask for a volunteer. What do you think, Jesse?
That'll be interesting.
All right. Let's see. Let's see. Maria says, in Canada, the ladies seem to like the southern drawls. Yow. But I love Spanish accents. See, Antonio Banderas has a very good sound, I think, for the ladies. And I think the ladies like it.
I forget how he sounds like. He talks like this, yes? No, wait, that's something else. Oh, God. I can't get into a card.
No, you got it right, because that's the voice for Pa. What was it? Puss in the Boots. Puss in Boots. Oh, you don't love me. You love the sword. I will be the one to take you and make you a magnificent person because I will defend your honor, my lady. You understand? That's Antonio Banderas. So there you go, people. I once had a voiceover person who I talked to last week. I says, "Oh, I want to do voiceover." She goes, "You're radio people. We have to unwind." I go, "What? I felt offended, Jesse. I'm like, I do a lot more voices than I don't even do the welcome to like I don't do radio like you know what I mean?
We have 40 seconds. No, I can't do it.
Or like Telemundo, right? You're like, welcome to Telemundo. Telemundo is the best, right? Or what is it? Caravisión, right? Like
No,
that.
It's Telemundo. Wait.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. They got multiple, but you know, like heavy. Like I'm like, who talks like that? They walk into a room. I am here. Your people must listen to me, for I have justice run in my veins. Right? Like it just doesn't work. Right?
10 sec. I don't know. I think that would be pretty cool.
Just go throughout the day and you must wear your face mask. You stupid. I was gonna cuss there.
2 seconds. Yeah, let's not do that. We're coming back.
Welcome back. Yes, it is the morning show right here on ABC News Radio, KMT 1490 AM. Joining our live stream audience there, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and much, much more. I'm sorry, I got a visual right now that I think if certain people talked or spoke, rather, that talked is a terrible English grammar. Yes, I went to school, kids. That people would pay attention. Like if Samuel L. Jackson walked into a room, there's a meme going around. Have you seen it, Jesse, about like the politics of the world? If Samuel L. Jackson was moderating one of these debates, which I understand there's going to be another debate, and they're going to turn off the mute button at some point, just as Samuel L. Jackson control that. Or better yet, Danny Trejo. Right? The machete wielding, like, there's certain people that like even bullies would not stand up to, like, oh, crikey.
I have the best one. Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Let's sign up for that. Right?
He's got that crazy look in his eyes. I don't know. I would not want to make him angry.
Because I feel like some of these journalists are a little bit of pushovers, you know?
They are.
They're not used to pushing back. Nope. I'm used to pushing back. I'll push back and then knock you off on your butt if you come at me physically. I could do that now. I don't care how tall you are, President Trump. Come at me. I said that one time to somebody. He goes, what? I said, come at me. I was ready to take him down, but you didn't come at me full force. So I was like, darn it. I would have included it as self-defense. I had a witness in the area too. He would have said, no, he came at you. So you provoked him. Yeah, but he came at me. I just lay him down on the floor. It doesn't take much to lay somebody down on the floor, by the way, which I do recommend if you are out there and you want to take a martial art, like, They have virtual versions you could do too. I don't do virtual. I train with my Sifu quite regularly. But my point is this. For those of you tuning in at home, Sifu is teacher. But my point is this. It doesn't take much to take somebody down. It's quick, it's fast, it's furious. And ladies, there's some crazy people out there.
Mm-hmm.
All right? Just learn some type of... And you know what? If anything, it teaches you really good mind, body, spirit oneness with yourself. So I recommend to anybody, especially if you got a youth in the family, be careful though. Careful. Don't automatically start introducing them to this if it's all 100% like a martial art that can like create a bigger bully. Does that make sense? If they have anger issues, they're not going to get any better, right? Speaking of which, Cobra Kai, right, Jesse? What have you learned by watching that?
Strike first, strike hard. No mercy.
No mercy. Yeah. So, and how did that turn out for him, right? So
it turned out well.
It doesn't turn out well. I'm telling you, it creates a very bad, which again, some people that learn violence already are predisposed, like already have a situation. My point is this: if you're bullied and you do it out of anger and you learn out of anger, you could become the bullier.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to manage your own mind, body, spirit first to be able to really take somebody out, right? Which Bruce Lee has a very good saying when it comes to martial arts, by the way. Do you know the saying?
No, I do not.
It is this. Here it is. Hold on. Actually, here's 114 Bruce Lee quotes, which I feel are very applicable to our lives, people. Like this one. Let's see here. I'm going to read this one. It's kind of long, but I will go out with this, okay? This is what Bruce Lee said. I am learning to understand rather than immediately judge or to be judged. I cannot blindly follow the crowd and accept their approach. I will not allow myself to indulge in the usual manipulating game of role creation. Fortunately for me, my self knowledge has transcended that, and I have come to understand that life is best to be lived and not to be conceptualized. I am happy because I am growing daily, and I am honestly not knowing where the limit lies. To be certain, every day there can be a revelation or a new discovery. I treasure the memory of the past misfortunes. It has added more to my bank of fortitude. That's heavy there. Let me scroll down to another one because I think we still have like a minute left, right?
Yeah, we got like a minute 10.
Here's a few. Tell me which one's your favorite. Absorb what is useful, discard what is not, add what is uniquely your own. I love that. It's kind of like mine, which is take your power back and then punch our lights out. Sorry. But look, this is a man who could punch anybody's lights out, but he was a very peaceful man at the end of the day. Just don't cross him.
Mm-hmm.
Here's another one. If you always put limit on everything you do, physical or anything else, it will spread into your work and into your life. There are no limits. There are only plateaus, and you must not stay there. You must go beyond them. That's powerful, people. I'll leave you with one last one. If there is a God, he is within. You don't ask God to give you things. You depend on God for your inner theme. Or this one. If you don't want to slip up tomorrow, speak the truth today. Love it. I like that one. And with that, folks, Bruce Lee, everyone. Bye-bye, everyone. Make it a great day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bruce Lee was a very intelligent man. Okay. For those that don't know or haven't seen on Netflix, it's not for the faint of heart, especially I think the first one's A-okay, but you may not want to watch with the children in the room. But if you're going to take up one martial art, I recommend taking up Wing Chun. And for those of you still tuning in, this is our after party. So thanks for tuning in. Feel free to retweet. I'm going to retweet it right now on my Twitter feed because this is our after party, which sometimes isn't a real party unless you like drinking a Red Bull like me, right? So let's see. My point is this. Ip Man. Go check it out. Ip Man. Or Ip Man. I used to think it was IP Man when I first saw it. I go, like, Internet Protocol Man? And then I felt stupid after because I'm like, oh, this guy was a real dude. And he was one of the masterminds behind Bruce Lee's ability to take somebody out with little to no, like Bruce Lee had a cool, amazing ability to do like some pretty awesome moves, but it didn't take much for him to block and then counter and then strike. And Wing Chun is there's a rumor going around that it was started by a nun. I don't know how true that is, but you don't have to be strong in stature to learn this martial art, by the way. Let me pull up a picture of Wing Chun and Ip Man, okay? And this man, quite strong, because he knew. Let me see here. I'm going to pull up this one with him and Bruce Lee. But technically, maybe not that one. Hold on. Let me pull up a better one. Yeah, this one. Here we go. This shows his stature. And if you know of the story already, then forgive me. I'm just going to bring this up because I think this is a good. Look, martial arts you can learn a lot from. Not the kind that cause harm, but the kind that are meant to defend and or protect. In every martial art, you have the one who is the protagonist, and then you have the defender of all that is good, right? In any martial art, you have the one that just like is based off of ego, like, no, my martial art is better than yours. And then you have the one that goes, well, let's see about that, right? So go watch that. I think they made a total of 4, maybe 5 Ip Man movies starring Donnie Yen. Great guy. Met the guy. Very humble guy. And small in stature, by the way, but could take you out. So this is Bruce Lee training with his Sifu Grandmaster, which was known often as Ip Man. All right. And if you're looking at that on the left, hold on. On the left, you see Ip Man, small stature guy. Bruce Lee, not that big himself. There's an older one of them two working out together as well. But long story short, the martial art is often done with a wooden dummy. I'm going to point out one here with Donnie Yen, which he himself is a pretty amazing individual. He really is. I admire this man, not just because we met him in person. I admired him even before that. And we saw him when he came to the States for his the inserting of his hands and feet in Hollywood at the Chinese Theater. All right, it used to be formerly known as the Man's Chinese Theater or the Grauman's Chinese Theater. And the interview's up on social media. You could find it. Maybe I'll repost it later because there's something to be learned by martial artists, whether they are in China and or other parts of the world, right? But there it is. There's a poster, which I think was a fan-created poster. But that's Donnie Yen, who does a great job at playing Ip Man himself. Now, when I saw the first film, I didn't realize he trained Bruce Lee. I watched it all throughout. All I heard was go watch it. A good friend told me this, and I said, okay, I'll go check it out. And I was floored. I was like, I want to learn that. Okay, so my point is, it doesn't take a very muscular person and or some like, and you ladies, you could do this as well. It's a great martial art to do. But one of the principles of Wing Chun is to be very calm. And when you watch him, he's very calm. You see the other, I'm kind of giving you a little bit, but the other martial artists of the time were like, no, my martial art is better than yours, right? So they would compete. Okay, in a time of peace, they would be like, you need to learn with my martial arts school because my martial arts school is better than other martial arts schools, right? So the young ones or teenagers or elderly ones would say, okay, I want to sign up to that. Usually it was the young men, right? Or like, at the time in China, who were very adamant about learning some type of martial art, right? And some of it's practical, some of it's not. Any martial artist that tells you if there were a street brawl, there's a couple moves that will take somebody out. You don't need to know a flying kick. You really don't. It looks good on camera. Looks amazing. Bruce Lee knew how to do all of it, right? But if he needed to take you out really quick, really fast, and really furiously, all you needed to know was Wing Chun. At the minimum, if you don't practice like again, each to their own. I love martial arts. I grew up on martial arts movies. But as I was told quite recently by one Sifu master, he said, you only need at minimum one move to take somebody out. It's beautiful. It's grand to have all these different disciplines in your arsenal of tricks. But in the moment of any given moment, you must learn to be effectual, take the enemy out immediately so. There is no reasoning with an unreasonable person. You must take them out and do so while leaving them alive to feel foolish in the end. I say to that, sign me up for that, right? It's not easy, though. It's not easy. I could tell you how many bruises I've had just training with my Sifu. But my point is this, okay? Martial arts are, in essence, the way people should learn to live their life. Let me back up just a minute, okay? I used to be the type of person that, and stop me if you're this type of person, or admit to it, okay? Admit to it, that I would immediately retaliate with my emotional core if somebody came at me, admittedly so making me really upset, mad, or angry, right? And so instead of like stopping and thinking for myself, I would just react. All right. Well, in martial arts, there's a set number of rules, and here they are. There are no rules. There really aren't. I mean, each discipline has taught a number set of rules, but the reality is this: there are no rules. That's number one. You have to get around your head. In the moment of a fight and or an onslaught, there are no rules. But there is reasoning ability to say what is right. But sometimes what is right for one person isn't right for another. So again, there are no rules. If you learn there are no rules, you discard of every theory that's out there and you just say what works in the given moment. What's fast, what's furiously, not what looks beautiful. What will cause somebody to immediately take another enemy out, right? So in martial arts, a lot of martial arts often focus on the power to disarm, first and foremost. If somebody has a gun pointed at you, how do you disarm that man? Do you start with words? Do you start with theory? Do you start with a action to take out the gun from their hand and not shoot anybody in the process? It may look good. It may look fun. It may look amazing. But if you are a novice at this, don't start with that one. Start with your thinking ability. What can I do to disarm this man? And then go from there. But you have to stop with your own energy by saying, okay, I am no longer at somebody else's will. I could take control of this situation, but what must I do to disarm this man? And then go from there. There is no one size fits all. So what can I do to disarm this man in this moment in time? Start with that. When you start with that, the rest follows. The brain works in such a way that the subconscious brain helps alleviate the problems of the forebrain, okay, the one in the front. And what I mean by that is this: the subconscious mind suddenly triggers when in moments of disaster, right? You don't believe me? Somebody calls the word bomb, right? What's your first line of thought? Oh, shoot, I better get out of here. Everybody runs. The foreground mind isn't the one in control. It's the backwards mind, right? The subconscious mind. So you react. It's called fight or fly, or fight or flee, fight or flee. Now, a martial artist thinks differently. A martial artist who has trained many years has trained both to be in harmony, oftentimes telling the subconscious mind, follow me, for I know what is right. So back to Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee learned to train his forward mind to take control of his subconscious mind in a moment of what looked like a disaster. So if and when there was a disaster coming at him, he always says, I have control of me. That is who I have control of. What's next? And he would tell his backwards mind, which is typically ruling in the majority of us, we have this. We got this. Don't worry. Follow suit. I will control. But you need to help me control my body. Weird, right? So in life, you have to take control of your subconscious mind, but allow your subconscious mind, which has some amazing miracles in it, locked in there, stored away, to be able to take control of your fist, right? They often call it body-mind mechanics, okay? And let me back up with this. This is very interesting. People think it's theory, but it's more rule than theory, okay? People always say, train hard, train fast. The smart martial artist trains in such a way slowly at first. Do you understand? But it's not really through repetition. It's through practice. For if a man's coming at you forward, this movement is quite ineffectual. A better move would be a side forward. Do you understand? Well, people train in so many different ways. They train, okay, come at me. But people come at you different ways at different times. This is why Bruce Lee was a master at being able to take anybody on in the moment at any given time from wherever they were coming, right? People were like, well, how did he do that? He was in effect dealing with each and every moment and passing in time as though it was his last. Therefore, the subconscious mind would kick in and say, I don't want to get hit. And if I get hit, it's going to hurt. And guess what? He could take a punch just as good as the next person because he trained taking punches. So if he did get hit, it wouldn't knock him off his feet entirely. He'd be able to get right back up and keep on moving, keep on striking, and so as to stay alive. At the end of the day, any martial art should be able to train the person on how to stay alive in a given moment and or time and or place and or situation. Staying alive is the subconscious part of the brain that keeps you breathing. You don't have to think about it until you take control of your breathing. You understand? So the foreground mind says, no. Subconscious mind, I see you getting worked up over nothing. I'm going to breathe in, hold it, and then breathe out. That is foreground mind thinking about subconscious mind and say, no. I take control of us, not the other way around. I need your help. For I cannot tell my body to always breathe. I have other work to do. But for a moment, I will take control of the situation, take control of you, and then bring you back down. So we could take control together, work in harmony with subconscious mind, not against. Well, that's life, people. In our lives right now, we are dealing with an unmistakable time in ever, really. Okay. Some have referred to it as another Great Depression. I recently referred to it as that, but I got corrected by my Sifu master who said it is not a Great Depression. It is the greatest time to be alive in order to effect change. You think like a foolish one. You need to think like a wise one. In any moment of time, you have an opportunity to shine. So it is how you visualize the oncoming onslaught. If the oncoming onslaught looks like a big bad foe, then you have already been beaten. But if the oncoming onslaught simply looks like a man who has weak points, then you focus on the weak points in order to take out but a man. Now, women, if you focus on a man taking out a man, you could take out anybody. Some women train with other women. Some of the best women fighters out there, if you love MMA, train with other men. If you could take out a man, and a big man at that, but you have to get big, stealthy, super strong. Admittedly so, a bullet is faster than a fight. Okay. But at the end of the day, you have to visualize it at its core what the situation is, which is oftentimes something you have power over yourself. For example, if a man is shooting a gun, are you going to go and take out that man if you are untrained? Well, I think Bruce Lee would take out the man. But first he throws something at him to distract him, or throw something to distract the person, right, away, and then go at him and take him out. But that's a trained, skilled fighter. The majority of us are not Bruce Lee, by the way. But you see a man with a gun, you run. You do not engage. That is shooting at everyone. You get behind something strong. Something with strength. That if a bullet hits, it will deflect. You look around and you say, what is strong? What is stronger than a bullet? You get behind that. Don't take on a bullet with a fist. Now, other problems are not as bad as a bullet coming at you. Admittedly so. Okay, but we're dealing with what's called coronavirus. And coronavirus is unfortunately like a bullet. It's fast. You don't see it coming. And it's something that's around. Admittedly so. Well, you just never know. So, in essence, get behind something or someone that is smarter than you. And be okay with saying, I don't know everything. I'm going to throw caution to the wind. No. Martial artists are sometimes their own worst enemy. And what I mean by that is, and I'd have to admit, even I think Bruce Lee would admit to this, unfortunately so, he lost his life in the end due to an accident. But if he had been humble enough to appreciate that accidents do in fact happen, maybe, just maybe, he would have had a second person check the device that killed him in the end. Unfortunately, it took that incident to create a lot of more standards in cinema. But how sad that it took that accident to take away a great. Sure, he was often seen to people as being a very egotistical man, a very snob, so to speak. But in reality, he was a good-natured, humble man. He simply wanted people to learn the Chinese art of Kung Fu. He wanted to bring this to the Western world to help people in their own lives, for it helped him in his life. It helped him at a time that he felt there was no hope for him. It helped him at a time that he felt lost. It helped him at a time that is often not spoken about, but the family members know this to be true. He helped others by teaching them this art of Kung Fu. And often, more often than not, he taught them Wing Chun. Because Wing Chun teaches you to be calm no matter the circumstance. In the movie, which I highly recommend that you go watch, you will see Donnie Yen be very calm with his moves. He rarely gets mad and or upset. This is not an acting choice. This is the culture of those that learn Wing Chun. They remain calm in the moment so that their strikes are effectual. You ever see, in most movies too, by the way, not just martial art movies, you have one man who is aggravated by the situation. Take Star Wars, for example, okay? The man who is angry, yes, they strike a lethal blow. Whoa. But now they are out of energy on the next counter move. Martial arts between two masters, Wing Chun would typically teach the master to keep their energy in check so as to go beyond a couple of fist blows. But the one who exerts all of his energy in anger exerts all of his blows at the beginning, but does not have time to recoup and or maintain distance. Now, in order to recoup, they kick to create distance, to allow the energy to come back into the body to be able to counter once again. But it's a series of counters, deflects, and then moments of lethal blow. Not true. That's what people think it is. It isn't. It is a series of counters. In order not to get punched in the face. You understand? Don't get punched in the face. You get punched in the face, you could have a concussion, you could have a lethal blow, you could have your spine messed up. You can get punched in other parts of the body, but it is the head that you must learn to block. And then you could counter. So keep your mind strong. The problem with a lot of MMA fighters, unfortunately so, is they allow them to go to the head, even boxing, so they allow them to go to the head, but at the end of the day, in the later years of life, they have and suffer a lot of concussions to the brain. They're learning a lot about science now of why that's harmful, but enough punches to the head, they say take a punch. Martial artists don't like taking punches to the head. They know how to deflect and or dodge and or counter in such a way that you cannot hit the head, right? Which is hard when somebody comes at you behind you. You have to now feel the person's presence and or energy. And this is what Bruce Lee wanted to really bring to the forefront of people's minds, that everything is energy. And when you understand the world of energy, you can sense and or feel somebody coming at you without choreographing it. You could blindfold a good martial artist, and they will feel, sense. And don't believe me, I recently, my Sifu made me do this, and I was like, oh, wow, that's interesting. But you have to be willing to let go of your preconceived idea that in reality, I'm blind, I can't see. No. Even a blind man can see. Even a blind martial artist can counter. Admittedly, so if there's a bullet coming at you, you're going to get hit in the head. But it's not always about bullets. It's about countering the punch. And it's done with just a couple simple moves. And then it's fast. A fast counter. And I can't do it here because, I got my mic here. I don't want to hurt the mic. But even if I use the mic as the person's head, right, or body, I should not be able to hit the mic if I know space. And space is not moving. But if it were moving, or if I were moving, martial arts is great, especially Wing Chun. I highly recommend it. If you've been looking at wanting to do any martial art, take up Wing Chun. Okay, there's videos on the subject. Samuel Kwok is a grandmaster of sorts. Amazing man. I've met the man. Amazing. Eminently so. He did do a lot of training as of late in Wing Chun. Don't believe me? You can look him up. Samuel Kwok is his name. Kwok. Travels around the world teaching people, if and when they're ready. But the reality is this. Look, people, in life, there are lessons to be learned by the series of martial arts known as Kung Fu. In Kung Fu, you must learn to be calm in mind. If you are calm in mind, you can learn to think in any given situation. Imagine being surrounded by 18 men. What do? Do you, there's 18 men? No. You say, okay, one thing at a time. Oftentimes, martial artists will look down, but they will use their peripheral and all their other senses in order to see who is going to come at them first. Do you understand? I love martial arts movies because they often, when they come at them, right, they see, now granted, a lot of it's choreographed, obviously, so there's that. But then there's real life examples, and Bruce Lee was always challenged by more than one man. Oddly so, right? You would think the one man would be but typically the leader of them all would rarely, if they were, especially if they were all evil, right? They wouldn't be the first one out of the gate. They let the other henchmen kind of tire out the martial artist. You understand? The experienced one, like Bruce Lee, okay? But take Bruce Lee, take another very highly experienced martial artist, and in reality, the man in the middle, so to speak, has to take on the oncoming onslaught. But if he looks at it from a bird's eye view, it's actually quite simple. It's like the camera. When the camera sees it, oh, I see that person coming there. I see that person. But to the martial artist, he can only depend on his 8 senses. Okay, I know you're thinking 8 senses. What 8 senses are there? More on that a little bit later. But the martial artist uses these senses in order to determine where the one is coming from. And then they counter. Block, counter, right? Okay. The reality is good martial artists just counter. There's only so many movements that a person can make. The body is a very simple body. There's many different ways to counter the body coming at you. A fist, a kick, a headbutt, a body slam, you name it. The body only, that's why back to the wooden dummy, which you see here in the video, well, screenshot of the video of Ip Man. It's stationary. He just learns there's 2 sticks that stick out to the top. There's 2 sticks at the bottom and kickstand. And it's just repeatedly hitting this wooden dummy, which doesn't move. Because if you learn where your center of line is, the body, wherever the body is at, you learn to, right, counter. And I'm not doing proper right now. It takes a lot of, but you got to hit the wooden dummy. All right, look at this one. There's marks on that for a reason, okay? And you get your hands. If you look at his hands, they're swollen. Okay, my hands were swollen about a week ago when I hit a tree like this, right? But then they calcify. They get stronger with each punch, right? So after a while, it may hurt, but it's kind of numb overall. But my point is this. You have to keep striking blows to this inanimate object because the human body, although animated, only can do so much damage. Okay, it really can. Even their fists to your body pales in comparison if you know how to counter properly. Okay, so a good martial artist, although trained in the woo of it all, that looks beautiful on camera, that is not what Bruce Lee would do when he was in the middle of a street fight. One punch is all that's needed in order to take you out. So don't let that punch blow out your head. If you take it to the body, okay, but then you strike. You often don't necessarily think if you're calm. And if you're calm and you know your series of movements, which again, these are repetitive movements so that when the moment happens, you can counter and strike. But the subconscious mind needs to be controlled by the foreground mind by saying, look, we're going to stay calm in this manner. We're not going to get all crazy that there's 18 men around us. Right? That's uncontrolled energy. You have to control your energy. You have to control your self. So you control yourself in the moment. Now, I know I'm talking about theory here, a lot of theory, But a martial artist learns to train the 8 senses. So many people know 5 senses. Yes? Sight, sound. Well, let me back it up in ways you can understand, okay? Let's say, for example, there is a shark in the water. Now, a shark senses amazingly so in different ways. Okay. In water, there are known as waves coming at or around and or against at all times. Now, the ability for a shark to smell from long distance away is pretty unique to a shark. A droplet of blood, I forget how far they say they smell it. But it's no different than an aroma that you smell a block away. Don't believe me? You ever smell like barbecue? Oh, yeah. Where's that at? Give me those ribs. Right? So we have the sense of smell, admittedly so, pretty high tune already, but that depends on how bad the bad guy stinks, right? But everybody has and emits a certain chemical odor. It is changes in that, in the room, right? Don't believe me? You smell a woman with a beautiful perfume. You know instantly where that person's emanating from, right? Unless they walked around you really quick and fast and they're like, right? But where is it strongest? That is where she is at. I mean, you don't think you stink. Trust me. Martial artists stink, especially when they're fighting. So, martial artists depend on smell more than they even know. But it is so ineffectual if you think, where is the smell coming from? So you let your other senses kick in all at the same time, because your human brain is made to do so much that sometimes we limit it by overthinking. That is where martial artists live and or die. Overthinking the situation. Do not overthink. Be in the moment. Be in the moment. Counter. Whatever it is that can counter to take the enemy out, you do that. It may not look pretty. It may not look fantastic. It may not even on camera look good. But if it is a brawl fight meant to take you out, you do whatever you need to do in order to counter and strike a lethal blow in order to keep them alive. Admittedly so, it is more difficult to keep a man alive when you are a lethal weapon. Admittedly so, it was difficult, most likely for Bruce Lee and or counterparts that strive to be and or be greater than him, to know, although they could take a person out, they do not want to, in order, A, not to suffer harm, admittedly so, to themselves and or the other person, for oftentimes the one coming is less experienced. So they must be stronger of mind to say, I will take you out so as to not to harm yourself any further. For if I gave you the full dosage, you would not be able to walk away. So in life, let your words always be seasoned with honey, so as to draw a person to your way of thinking. And if they will never believe in your way of thinking, at least allow the others around who are participating in this rhetoric, let them think. Use words of honey and sometimes lethal blows. Strike down a man who comes at you as a bully, and he will last only but a second. But strike a man with logic, strike him down with reasoning, strike him down with irrefutable evidence, and you strike a man down for good. And all those around will listen and pay attention, more so because you strike with thinking ability. There are so many people striking right now without thinking, striking back, striking angrily so. Do not be that person. Think. If you're in the middle of a protest that gets out of hand, think, what do I do next? Do I engage in this harmful behavior, or do I walk away and save me and myself and my family? Or do I take and get caught up in the moment in order to show that I have the right to be angry? Okay, so back to the other senses. So don't dispel the smelling ability. It's pretty amazing when you learn to use it. Okay. Sight is a beautiful one, but it could be debilitating if, for example, you get sweat from your brow into your eye. Well, now you can't see off your right eye, but you depend like a boxer. A boxer looks at the oftentimes down and to the hips, but has trained their peripheral vision to always see what is coming at them, whether it be left, right, or center. Oftentimes the center doesn't work because you've got this little blind area right here. And if a good fighter learns to make use of that blind center, he will take you out each and every time. If you are a fighter that only depends on 5 of your senses, then you're already beaten. So a smart martial artist will learn the way the energy feels in the room. What I mean by that is, if you ever walk into a room and you're like, oh my goodness, or you hear this, you've ever heard this, there was so much tension in that room, I could cut it with a knife. That is a saying, but many people don't understand what it is they feel. If you took away all your 5 senses and just went to the feeling of it all, you can feel something in the room that you go, that is odd. I do not like that feeling in this room. Oftentimes, anger emits a different emotion and or chemical release in the human body that also emits a certain chemical release even in the air. It's a scent. Don't believe me, dogs, for example, can sense fear. Or do they smell it out? And or do they sense it using their other... See, the brain in a dog is quite amazing. We oftentimes don't think about the dog's senses, but the dog's senses are quite astounding when you exemplify all of the really cool characteristics of a dog. A dog does more than smell. A dog sees, a dog hears, a dog feels. Its fur feels, senses, and temperature, environment in order to affect well, what's that coming? Which is why they can quickly, more often than not, have quick reflexes and or do things that people go, wow, that's really cool when trained. That's why they can sense a prisoner outbreak, right? A prisoner breaks out a prison, runs quite far, and they could track a human. Admittedly, so they don't walk into water, right? Cover up their scent. But admittedly, so they can track. Have you ever thought about how cool and amazing that is? That's in a creature known as a dog with the ability, sensation of its nose that you and I only. Well, I would never wish for that ability. I wouldn't want to smell certain things. It's just, God no. But my point is this: dogs, they sniff out a lot more than just like people's aroma. They sniff out diseases. They sniff out cancer cells. They sniff out say cancer. Did you know that dogs can sniff out cancer? They've been trained to. There's a certain release that the body gives, a scent that is common in cancer patients. Don't believe me? You wonder where the dog's smelling, and they go to your crotch. You're like, what the heck are you smelling there? Oh, so it might be an unsightly aroma, and or If that dog is trained, it could be cancer. Don't believe me? Look it up. Very interesting. Okay, so back to senses. Okay, senses in martial artists are heightened because they have allowed them to be heightened, for they understand and they have to peel back the layers of what they think they know versus what is. Once you peel back the layers of what you think you know versus what is, not what you were told to believe and or taught to believe, you suddenly realize there's more to this world than just sight, sound, feel. You can feel a punch, but you can sense something, admittedly so, before it even happens. I know that one seems a little off, but it's a thing. In martial artists do not view time as the same as other people. They view time in the series of events that take place in the moment in time, which is why the theory of being present in the moment that you are in versus what the moments that are coming that may never come are in your mind versus what you can control versus cannot control. So in the moment that you are in, you must remember to be ever present in a moment of displeasure, anxiety, and or discomfort. You must learn to think beyond the moment in time and see an effect into an eventual happening that may happen seconds and or minutes and or hours and or days later. But oftentimes when you allow the anxiety and or the depression and or the worrisome manner to act in such a way, you forget and throw out all reasoning ability. For now, you are focusing on the feeling of anxiety. You're focusing on the feeling of worry. You are focusing on the feeling of displeasure. Trust me, getting hit is displeasure on any accord. Okay. Martial artists do not think in that way, though. Martial artists think in such a way that if you learn to be in the moment of a moment, you will suddenly appreciate that moment a bit more so than the average person. For we are given but moments in life. We are given but nanoseconds that add up to a moment in time. And the amount of time you and I have spent right here, right now, are a lot of nanoseconds pieced together. They call it string theory. A string of series of moments pieced together, coming and going, like that. Every moment is a series in your human consciousness that says what is happening in this moment that I can either let happen to me and or I can affect change. A martial artist, a true martial artist, understands you have more power if you want it. You can either be the victim, the oppressor, and or the defender, but you cannot be all three. Which do you choose to be? Hopefully never the victim, and hopefully never the oppressor. Always be the defender. Okay, so how many senses did we talk about? That's you know the simple five, okay, right? Sight, smell, the physical realm that we live in called physicality. Our bodies are made up physically, are they not? This is my hand. Now it is a fist. Now it is a thumb. Thumbs up. Right? My hand is but an object. By itself, it's quite weak. Don't believe me? Pull a finger out of the joint, right? I recently showed a lady, I says, do you know how to get away from somebody if they grab onto your arm? And she yanked her arm, right? That's the first impression. That's what you first think. This is what I train youth, trained the little, he was 7 at the time. I said, this is how you do it. Learn. But I learned at the time from another master, a 10-year-old who learned martial arts. And he showed me, and I said, you know what? I'm going to use it. That's really good. And here's what you do. If somebody grabs your arm, okay, the simplest, no, you don't do that. You go with the other hand, you take the thumb, you remove it, and suddenly they lose their grip. You cannot grip with just 4 fingers. You can try, but it makes it weaker. You take the littlest, the thumb, but do not underestimate the thumb. The thumb, although small, when properly placed, well, it's out of the way. You don't ever punch with your thumb, do you? Hey, you give a thumbs up. But the thumb, if somebody grabs you, you remove the thumb. That's it. You focus on the thumb. The smallest part of the member is the weakest point. Not always true, but in this case, it is. If you're a lady and or a man or a weak man and or no matter how big the dude is, granted, sometimes the grip is harder than most, but you focus all your might and your energy on the littlest member of the hand, and you could take out a man, a big man. All of a sudden, he is weak. You control the thumb, you control where he goes. Until he comes at you with the other fist. But, agree to disagree. My point is, sometimes it's not the big man you need to take out, it's the little thumb. You understand? In martial arts, it is understanding this principle that understands that no matter the size of the opponent, they all have a weak point. It's learning to recognize your own weak points to know how to not get a blow from that man so that you know to defend your weak point. For example, I have a bad knee. So every move I make has to align in such a way that if a person knows I have a bad knee, he's going to go after the bad knee, which is a good thing because now they know what your weakness is and you know what they're going to go for all the time. So you know how to counter that move. There's a martial art where a man acts like he's drunk. Okay. Don't believe me. Jackie Chan did a really good version of this. And he's just, hey, everybody. And right. And he's still like very loose here. Right. He's just, hey, oh, yeah, this is so right. Oh my God. Right. You never see where he's coming from, but he's in complete, well, technically he's is in control, but not in control. He's letting his body just react in the moment that he's reacting. You understand? So countering, I know that looks really like weak right now, right? But this is called a block from behind. Okay. And then when he bows down, he punches forward into somebody's stomach. You understand? So it's hard to do it sitting down here, but even a sitting down martial artist can take out a standing man. It can be done. Wing Chun proves it. Back to Wing Chun. Why I love Wing Chun. Let me just go back to that. If you're wondering what we're talking about Ip Man. Go check it out. If you learned anything from this broadcast, it is go watch Ip Man. And you're going to learn a lot about it. You're going to want to take it up. You might even want to learn to train it in your off time. It's great energy, body, mind experience. You know, there's a lot of elderly ones that practice, right? I don't practice it personally, but it's body, mind, energy flow, known as Qigong. Okay. I don't practice it, so I don't know the movements. But my point is this. Even for the elderly, it's very good. But even for the young at heart, it's very good. It's just taught from Chinese culture that there is more to the body than just the physical realm. It is known as our energy that is within the body. The energy that emanates from and in the body keeps us alive, but it is the energy from without that also keeps us alive. Take away the energy of oxygen, Oxygen is a chemical element that we process in our bodies. We oftentimes don't give enough thought to, but it is a process that keeps our bodies alive. The body takes in oxygen, converts it, and throws out carbon dioxide. All of that happens in what are known as nanoseconds of breath. But we never stop to think about what is happening around us. We only harm those life-producing elements of oxygen. We do not think about what harm we are doing to the life-producing elements that create oxygen. We only think of ourselves, not realizing that these life-producing elements of oxygen are steadily being ripped from this earth. So a martial artist is very aware that they are in tune not only with their mind, body, and spirit, but also the earth that they cohabitate with. If you don't believe me that the earth is very much alive, look at all the oxygen it emanates. And where often does the oxygen emanate from? Does it emanate from another creature? No. It emanates from a simple thing as a plant. Another simple thing as water. Another simple thing as, well, does it start in the air, get reproduced? Or does it work this way? If plants absorb carbon dioxide, then they keep everything in harmony, do they not? And if they absorb the carbon dioxide, then technically the earth is like the body. This is the lungs. Look at a body's lungs, and you will see a bronchial, looks like a tree, does it not? An upside slanted tree, but it looks like a tree, more like a bonsai tree. Don't believe me? Look at your lungs again. Turn it on its side, and now it looks like a bonsai tree. The Creator put these things that resemble other things to remind us we are connected to the earth, and the earth is connected to us. It's a profound thought when you think of it that way. Well, if you would damage your own lungs, you see, Wing Chun, although a very smart type of martial art, the one thing that killed Ip Man was his smoking, which led to cancer. He smoked and smoked and smoked. Could train his body, but at the end of the day, it was not a fist that took him out. It was his inability of knowledge that smoking can, in fact, kill. Slowly, steadily, admittedly so. Now, it is true, he enjoyed his cigarettes. But had he known, would he have done something different about it? The world will never know. But if you know, and you know it can kill you eventually, why would you do this harmful thing? That's like taking a blow to the fist of your lungs repeatedly so. Why do you smoke? For the pleasure of it? For the nicotine? For a chemical dependence on another object which is making you feel good and or less stressed? Learn to breathe in oxygen, the healing oxygen which is around us. Breathe that in. Help fuel your body, for your blood lives on oxygen. Oxygen is not just there to make us feel good. It is there to help your blood flow. Well, some would say no, this is your heart. But it works together, does it not? But oxygen helps your blood carry out the nutrients that is needed. Otherwise, well, that's another discussion altogether. But do you understand? Okay, so you need blood, you need oxygen. Don't harm the earth that gives you at least the one of the two. Okay. All right. Let's not do that. Seriously. So we talked about the senses, we talked about several senses, but energy is more alive in and or around us. True or true? The answer is true. Whether you agree to disagree, it does not matter. It exists. It's there. I know people always take issue with that. What does that mean? Well, let's put it this way. I have a can here, do I not? Red Bull, made of aluminum and probably some other chemicals that they mixed in. Who knows? Or it's just aluminum. It doesn't matter. It is a can, is it not? It has juice in it, fizzing. But what happens when those fizzes suddenly subside? As they die down, what caused them to start bouncing and having chemical reaction with one another in order to fizz? Is it not the shaking? Well, where does the shaking start and where does it end? The can is shaking due to my hand, due to a response emanating from the brain. For if the brain did not tell the hand to shake this can, you would not have a result known as that sound. But energy is there with or without our thinking brain. Just like this can. Once we are gone, if humanity blew itself up in a nuclear explosion, this can may still live on and on and on. But nuclear explosion has what's called a chemical reaction known as fallout, which bonds to certain metals. Which is why when they do a sensor, they can tell if radioactivity is present in a particular area. Back to aluminum. This is but a can as of right this minute, but aluminum is a very interesting chemical compound that could be used for good and or for bad, like holding this Red Bull. Some would say that's not good for you. I say it gives me energy. But what is it really? It's a series of chemicals that, when put together, create a chain reaction in the body to allow for me to draw from extra energy and or for my body to suddenly be able to have energy. That's a different type of energy, is it not? I'm talking about energy not of the body and or the mind. I'm talking about energy emanating from other things in the room. You see this light? You don't see it. It's off camera. If I turn it off, I have turned off the energy that travels through a series of wires, resulting in a chemical reaction into the light bulb, thereby turning it on. Well, look at what energy can do when harnessed into a device that creates a light. Interesting, right? Energy, though, is all around us. It's true. Now, if energy is all with, well, is it with us or around us or in us? or keeping the universe intact. Some of it destroys, some of it creates anew, some of it begins again and gets recycled. But either way you view it, it is energy through and through. The human body generates energy or electricity. True. But this is not the energy a martial artist thinks of. Energy in a body emanates from oxygen. So a martial artist learns to breathe, to fuel the body and its body members with the enough oxygen to fuel it for a coming punch. There is known as a finger punch. But it's not the mechanics alone, because that is but a finger. It's like this, right? A 1 inch, well, a little bit longer than an inch, right? Maybe a 2 inch finger punch. Bruce Lee did this in his very infamous punch, throwing a man far away. It wasn't the punch. It was a source of energy that he built up. Not with the fist, but from his body. Well, but it all starts with the mind. True. Without the mind, the rest is harmless. But energy, when compounded with body mechanics, people always took issue with the sounding of his voice, right? Frequency, though, although not understood at the time, allows you to take your oxygen, breathe out, to strike a more deadly blow, and to not be tired by the next minute you have to strike another counterattack. The most important tool to a martial artist is that which he least respects oftentimes and or acknowledges that is there. It is the breath of life. No matter how strong and or physical you may be, you take away oxygen, you take away thinking ability, you take away whatever a martial artist is really skilled at. Done. And yet, China, who understands this martial art, understands oxygen is needed in order to continue living, is doing a very harmful thing. But it's not just China. It is all of us. We all either participate in acts that generate a chemical reaction to harm our planet, and or we generate energy to be very expensive so that we can make a lot of money. But who oftentimes makes the money? Is it you? Is it me? No. That's all I'm going to say about that. But I do say this. You'll learn the other two if and when you ever take up the martial arts of Wing Chun. And if they don't tell you, maybe one day I will. Okay, so there you go. All right, people, I love you. I really do. I appreciate each and every one of you more often than not, mainly because you guys stick with me. And if you got questions, I don't got the answers right now. I really don't. But I do know this. We do need, how do you pull your thumb back that far? Sorry, that's a question by Maria. I don't know. I didn't pay attention to that. But you just pull it, and the rest of the hand goes with it. You just try it. Try it on somebody. I mean, don't hurt them. Do it slowly. Okay, do it slowly at first. Martial artist learns slowly. They don't just, oh, let me go for the full punch. Sometimes it's a matter of no truth to the room. Our martial artist does train daily, by the way. But it's often the mind that you have to train first and foremost. Now, some people train the body without ever training their mind to slow down, think in the moment of nanoseconds. And martial artists can, in their mind, speed up, accelerate, and or decelerate, but mostly accelerate their mind to think ahead. By the way, FYI. All right, people, I appreciate you. Make it a great day, whatever you do. Remember, life is worth living. Live it well. And if you're going to take on any cool Netflix and chill moment, go check out Ip Man. Okay, great film. I'm going to leave you with Donnie Yen right here. Actually, you know what? Hold on. I feel like no, they're going to flag me if I show that. Let's do a poster. Yeah, well, I kind of want to show you a bit of Wing Chun on video, though. Yep, man. I feel like some of you won't really appreciate it, and like you'll leave, and then you'll be like, "Ah, that was a good conversation for another time." I don't have the time, but I do know this. Go check it out. You'll be glad you did. Ip Man. Learn Wing Chun. You'll be a better, smarter person for having done it. All right, people. Make it a great day, whatever you do. Remember, life is worth living. Live it well. Bye-bye, everyone.